I think I timed it good again. Welcome back. Sorry, Rose is not here at the moment 'cause she's letting our dog out who's about to start barking. But welcome back to Science HD. Please let me know in the chat if you could hear us fine. We're testing out this microphone again because it broke on the first episode. And our stream went down on the first episode, and I swear they were correlated, but Rose is back in a second. And yeah, so if you're watching on YouTube, welcome to Science HD Season 2. I've formed them into podcasts officially on YouTube, so go check them out if you just want to scroll mindlessly while you're doing your dishes or laundry or on a car ride. And so technically we're a podcast now because I made it a podcast on YouTube. So that's kind of cool. If you're also on YouTube, we do this live on Twitch. So if you want to see it live, if you want to start chatting with us in real time, go on Twitch to do that as well. Some things before I get into it with our guest, which happens to be someone I know. We do have merchandise still, and we will forever. New merchandise is not dropped yet because we just dropped this. But yeah, there's coffee mugs, crew necks like the one I'm wearing. A lot of stuff you wear except for bow ties. We don't have that. But yeah, the link is right there. If you're able to make that out, unless you're on mobile, then you probably can't make that out. But it's store.streamelements.com/sciencehd. Not really doing it for money. I'm just doing it in case you guys are interested in it. For guests and sending science posters to fill up this blank wall behind us. Rose and I have like 4 or 5 right now, but we want to get some more, and we only have small ones, so it would kind of look awkward if we start putting small ones on there. So if you want to draw something or anything like that, science related, throw it on here. Just email this email at sciencehdpodcast@gmail.com, and yeah, we'll connect on there, and I'll figure out a way to get it. And then now for our guest. I didn't want to waste any time because Zoom only has a 40-minute time limit for speaking with a guest. I'm going to pull out my notes, but I guess I can let you introduce yourself, guest.
Okay, I'm Stephanie. I'm Nolan's mother.
Yes. That is my mom.
And a nurse.
I'm going to turn you up on my computer, sorry.
Okay.
But yes, that's my mom, and I decided to bring her into the stream for Science HD because she has seen probably every episode live for a little bit, and she has a very scientific career, and she's really good at her job, I think, because I hear a lot about it. And yeah, so we're on a Zoom call, and we're excited to pick your brain, Mom.
All right.
But what do you do for a career for all the people out there that don't know who you are or why you're on this show, other than being my mom?
Okay, so I was a nurse in a hospital for 19 and a half years. Well, I ended up returning to school a couple times there, got an undergrad, and began teaching at a college with that, just doing clinicals and continuing to work in the ER. And then when I finished my graduate degree, I became a nurse practitioner, and I've been doing family practice and having my own patient load or panel, I guess, for the last 11 years.
Sweet. So yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the qualifications that that made me ask you to be on the show. 1 year shorter, and I don't know if I would have. But anyways, I have given you 5 questions in advance, but I'm going to ask you a few questions because last week we interrogated our good friend Shane Moore, which he will definitely be back on here again. But it was kind of just a friendly interrogation. So
Right.
I guess my first question for you was, what was your favorite class or memory you took while studying to be a nurse all those years ago?
That is a great question. The funny thing is I've been to school 3 times for it. So I have undergrad favorites I have my associate's degree and then undergrad and then my graduate ones. So I don't know if you want me to narrow that down.
Go
So,
for all of them if you would like.
okay.
Or,
So,
yeah.
I believe, so when I was going into my associate degree in nursing, anatomy and physiology was a class back then that they put together. Now I believe they're separate and they have separate labs, but back then it was all one class and they kind of piggybacked each other and it was so interesting. I think that's where I actually fell deeply in love with like the human body and beginning to understand the science behind all of that. So my biggest memory from that moment was when our anatomy teacher came in with fully inflated cow lungs that they had dried out and they were enormous, like enormous, fully inflated, and it was just crazy. It didn't seem real. So, and then dissecting eyeballs and cats and stuff was really cool.
So you dissected an
Um,
eyeball before?
I did what?
You dissected an eyeball before?
I did. Yeah,
I've
I
never.
sure did. And that was when I was so early in my nursing. I mean, I wasn't even in full on nurse mode yet. And I was freaked out and intrigued all at the same time. So, yeah, it was an animal's eyeball, not a human eyeball, but yeah.
Oh.
Um, and then in my undergrad, um, we did huge papers like a thesis, and it took, 18 months to create it. And then you had to present it, but you had to test it in the public first. And mine was um, where I really kind of fell in love with diabetes. When we used to serve in the soup kitchen, Nolan, ever since you were a baby, um, we had a population that was high in diabetes. And a couple times, I'm sure you don't remember, we had to call the ambulance because people ate their food and then passed out on the table. And we found out that their sugars were in the 4 to 500s. And so that was my basis for creating this test sort of in the public because every Sunday a different organization came in and cooked food for that um, underserved population. And my theory was if I educated them on a low carbohydrate diet, could we improve the diabetes in Calhoun County?
Mm.
And so I did pre-tests, education, and post-tests and found that we could. And my whole thing that they had to take away was making it a half a plate of vegetables instead of bread, French fries, potato, like everything carbohydrate. So
Right.
they didn't learn everything, but they remembered to do a half a cup or half a plate of vegetables. So
I did
that was the
not.
one thing people took away.
I did not know you did that at all.
Yeah, and there were five Sundays in we were fifth Sunday, so that only happened a few times a year, but I went and educated every single Sunday group. So, yep,
Wow.
I did.
So I was a
Yep. And then in graduate school, I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
I said I was a minion in your operation. I
It
guess.
started with you in a carrier and a baby seat. Yeah, that's how long we did it until you were, I don't know if that was high school, middle school, probably.
I do
Um,
remember being in that.
yeah, that was a long time. And then in grad school, I had two of my best friends with me, and we did a program through Michigan State University where it was hybrid. So we were only on campus 1 to 2 times a month, but we did the rest from home and online. And um, in order to learn every section of the body, MSU would have us come up for the entire day, and it would just be like eyes, ears, nose, and throat. So from the neck up was one test, but you had to be there all day. And it was like hours and hours and hours. And you'd had to know every single part of the eye, testing hearing, doing everything like that. So the night before, my two girlfriends and I would go get a hotel and stay the night up there and study and test on each other all night long and go to that place totally exhausted, but totally spot on. We had it right, and it was a lot of fun and a great hands-on way of remembering everything because we did it together. So I think that was really important.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, probably things you didn't know.
I know that's another reason why I was excited to have you on here, because I feel like I've known a lot of stuff, but like I like it when you retell stories, but I also feel like there's stuff I don't know, and I'm already learning. So,
Yeah.
my next question was: do you think being an ER nurse made you better as a nurse practitioner than if you weren't ever in the ER?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I spent of my 19 years at the hospital, 15, I believe, were in the ER. And I saw everything from, a little boo-boo on a Band-Aid to huge traumas where people, were shot in the head or, you know, we performed surgery, we delivered babies, we did everything. On top of people that called that their doctor's office and wanted treatment for their chronic diseases all the time instead of finding their own family doctor. So, yes, I think it was very beneficial. I feel very fortunate to know as much as I know. And I think it's just because I spent so many years learning it.
Right.
Do you think that it helped, like the relationship between like nurse and nurse practitioner, or even to the case of like doctor, like normal family doctor? Because
Yes.
there's that common, I don't know, like belief or just common, or typical stereotype where like nurse and doctor relationships are pretty strenuous, and nurses are often abused in the medical system and not appreciated. Yeah. So do you think that being a nurse really helped,
Yes, I do. And I think becoming a nurse or being a nurse for so many years before being an NP made the relationship and the appreciation and respect different. For me, with my feelings towards them, and I believe you sort of earned respect by being in the field for so long. Like currently with Grandpa's doctor that's dealing with his legs right now, he keeps saying to me things like, well, I know I have to talk to you in a certain way because you've been in this for so long. It's like, I appreciate it, but and sometimes that's weird to hear. But I feel like he's known me for so long, and I've done so many things alongside him. That particular doctor and procedures in the hospital when I was there, that he knows my background, and I do think it does take you to a different, not elevated, but a different respect, I think.
Yeah.
As you keep going in your career. So.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought of that question because I feel like I've lived a life where it's actually really clutch to have a nurse parent, and like when you get sick. Sorry, Captain keeps edging towards the end of the bed. But he's like being adorable, so it's like making me laugh.
Welcome to parenting.
Yeah. But anyways, it's been really clutch to have you as a nurse mom, because like I never noticed how much I kind of relied on you when I was sick until I was sick 2 weeks ago with the flu for like a solid week, and there was like one day where felt like I was bedridden because I had a fever, and I'm like, dang, I've only ever had like my mom actually like take care of me, and now it's kind of weird being this sick without you even like an hour away. So
yeah, that's a hard part about growing up too.
Yeah, and I know I called you like 4 times because I'm like, I have no idea what to take right now. I actually took the wrong medicine several times.
Yes, you did.
So,
I thought I taught you better.
Oops, I forgot to put your name on there. But yeah, he's fine. I have syndrome.
Okay.
But yeah, so our next question, what was something in the ER that took you a while to get good at? Since you're pretty skilled, I don't know, like, if there's like a certain machine or a certain technique or any certain things that took you a while to get good
Actually,
at.
that was an interesting question. When I first became a nurse, I was an ICU nurse, and I feel like back then, I would say probably starting IVs and, you know, putting in NG tubes or catheters or whatever. But down in the ER, you do all of that all the time, constantly. So it became second nature. So I feel like the biggest thing I had to learn or teach myself down there was to remain calm, like not have racing thoughts of a million things I need to do, especially during a trauma, and just really hone in on what I was dealing with in front of me. And keep your thoughts organized. That's not easy to do when there's crisis.
Noted. So like more mental stuff.
Yeah, I think, you have to prioritize. I think that's super hard. You also have to delegate work. I think delegating is not easy all the time, especially in a place like an ER, where things happen so quickly and you have to ask for help or, tell somebody to go do something. I did, charge nurse on the weekends, and, you had to take control of the whole department. You had to decide where the, ambulances were going, or who's transferring out, or who's in the trauma room, and everybody gets an assigned spot when you're in the trauma room. That's also something else you have to get used to, is what spot are you in? And can you do each section well so that you can function in there and be the best, provider you can be. So
Right.
that took a long time. Or
Well,
not to overreact when you saw people, I mean, that's hard too, especially if it's a trauma or something so sad that's happening. You have to like put your emotions on the shelf and work,
yeah.
and then cry later on your ride home.
Well,
Literally.
I guess I'll move to my next question.
Okay.
Just because it's at 28 minutes since the Zoom started.
And I don't own Zoom, so it's gonna shut off.
Yeah, same. What is your favorite area of your field you like to learn and spend time in? This was kind of hard to word, but that was the best wording I had.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
That is, now that I'm been doing this for so long in family practice, and the job I'm currently in is basically for 65 and older crowd, and I love teaching about their chronic diseases and helping them create goals. Like diabetes, for instance, is my favorite. But I love working through patients with hypertension and high cholesterol and all kinds of chronic conditions, or figuring out which one we can change to make them all better, like tweaking a medication, or just teaching someone that water is healthy
Yeah.
sometimes is a big, huge accomplishment, or that tobacco is bad, or you know what I mean? It seems so simple, but some people don't even know that, or that caffeine can increase your blood pressure. Adding salt isn't always good, things
Do,
like that.
do you get a lot of people that think that if they drink like a Coke, they can like water it down with a Diet Coke, and then they can have another Coke after that because they. Yeah, I've heard like people do that, or is that not common? And I just heard that like.
Oh no, it's super common. There, it's strangely common to hear people say things like that, and to say that the ice in their Coke, in their glass, counts as their water for the day. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and they'll end up drinking it until the ice is all gone, and I'm like, that does not count. But um, Yeah, a lot of education. I love to teach. So, and I'm usually precepting students. In fact, I'm gonna start doing it at the job I'm in again. So
Hmm.
we get grad students coming in to do all their clinical rotations to learn how to learn everything hands-on before they graduate. So
I'll be
that,
doing that in a little over, actually, yeah, in a year and a few weeks.
A year and some change.
A year and some change. I'll be doing that.
yeah, that's cute. Well, good. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way, it is official. I am starting. You already know this, Mom, but I'm starting classes in the fall for clinical lab science. So then, if I do this next semester, pass all those classes, do the semester of that, pass all those classes, then I take a practicum that summer. So a year from now, I'd be taking a test over the summer. That's like a lab test. And then I do clinicals for that fall semester. And then whatever year that would be, 2026, the beginning, I would be in the real world medical field.
Nice.
So
That'll be awesome. So with all three of you being STEM kids, STEM college kids, are any of you in the medical field? I mean, I know Nolan's kind of going more towards lab and fleb and all that, but do you other two want to go anywhere near healthcare?
I am running so far away from the medical system. But I feel like, so you can go either way when you have a parent in the med field. So like you're either gonna be drawn towards it or you're gonna feel like I do, where it's like I want nothing to do with it, and that's
right.
That's the camp I fall in. I've heard enough of the horror stories, and I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah. What about you, Asher?
There's enough of a path in physics that you could do it because there's medical physics. Although when you go to get your master's in that, you kind of confine yourself to that degree. I feel like, or to that job. I'm not sure I will, but I know people that are planning on it that are currently in classes with me, planning to do medical physics.
It's pretty neat.
Nice.
I didn't know medical physics was a thing.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
It's like legally, I think hospitals have to have a medical physicist on staff who knows like radiation dosages and like all of the like physics stuff that you might have to get like an MRI or something.
Right.
Those are scary magnets.
Yes, they are.
MRI is just a scary magnet.
That's what I remember the first time I got a contrast pushed in me, and like I can't remember what is it, iodine?
Yeah.
Isotope?
Yeah.
There's a super cool one. They basically hit you with like something that generates antimatter, and you look at the light that comes off of you, you kind of glow. Like the positrons find an electron that are near them, turn into gamma rays, and then spit off to the detector. I forget, PET scan, positron emission tomography or something like that.
Wow. I didn't know that what PET scans meant.
When you get a PET scan, what is it for?
Only cancer. It's a test that can give you cancer, so they're only going to do it to you if you already have it.
Wow.
Right, and it shows up warm. Like there's warm areas that they can see on the scans. Yeah.
That's interesting. How did they? I wonder how did they figure that out? Like, how do you?
That one's pretty easy. That one's a simple one. Like, what happens if we blow this piece of rock up?
Right, but like, who was the first human to be like, hey, we're gonna put this stuff
right.
here?
That's a good question. I don't know.
You can say that for a lot of things, I feel like, too.
Yeah.
But before we lose you to the time, what is one thing you now know that you would tell your younger nurse self, or maybe an aspiring nurse in the world that is learning to be a nurse at any college in any part of the world, I guess, world.
I would say don't be so hard on yourself. And things don't have to be perfect. And if you fail, you got to get back up and keep going. I mean, I had an exam I failed. I failed statistics in my graduate class and had to retake it. I failed it by 0.6, it was awful. It was less than 1 decimal away from passing, and I had to retake it. And so I ended up with, 16 weeks of I think I was at 800 level stats because they wanted us to be able to go right into the doctorate program. And that professor wouldn't pass you unless you got an 80%. And I was like 78 point something, like 79. It was so close. It was ridiculous. My friend, Polly even failed it as well by like, she was probably 0.6. I was probably 1 point something. But yeah, that was awful. And then we had to have a 21-year-old tutor us for $60 an hour. But we got
Jesus.
A the second time we took it. Got an A. I got an A. It was incredible.
$60
so then
an
my
hour.
GPA went up, so it was okay. But don't beat yourself up if you fail something. You got to get up and keep going. That's because so many people get into nursing programs, either the first, second, or third one. And if you fail something, you feel like you're a failure and you don't keep going. And I just say, keep trying, keep moving forward. And put your family first, because hospitals will make you feel so guilty that you leave your family at home and stay at work. And I would say, if I could change that, I probably would have not accepted as many longer shifts or harder shifts out of guilt. I would have been home with my family more. So, yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just waiting for Zoom to kick one of us off.
Oh, I can get out.
No, I'm not kicking you out. I'm not kicking you out.
Oh.
But yeah. So those were all my questions I had for you. Except for I did talk about sleep apnea. I mentioned it last week to try to like put like a teaser for you. Because you said you wanted to mention something about that.
I love teaching that too.
I have a question about it.
Yeah.
Is it like is it life threatening?
Yes. You mean if you don't treat it?
Yeah.
Yes, and it can be a slow, life-threatening, life-altering problem if you do not treat it. Over time, it can create type 2 diabetes, because when you have like an apneic event and you stop breathing, your body wakes you up by going into fight or flight, and your pancreas kicks out, or your liver kicks out glucagon, which is your body's own sugar, and it puts a teaspoon of sugar into your body. So some people have 40 apneic events in a minute. Some have it 40 in an hour. Some have it 40 in a whole night, right? Or even 10. That's 10 teaspoons of sugar, or 40 an hour. And then people get visceral fat, which is in your abdomen. And then their blood sugars start creeping up, and then you get borderline diabetes, and it gets worse and worse. You can also get congestive heart failure, because when your breathing stops, the way that your body wakes yourself up is it makes your heart start beating really fast, and then all your, epinephrine starts going all over your body, and you're like fight or flight, right? Yeah. And so your heart is starting to go so fast that it's working too much, and it enlarges. And over time, if it gets enlarged further and further, then you're not getting that good, like, the lub dub, like that oomph to get the blood to come out of your heart. It starts sitting in the left chamber, and it grows bigger and thicker, and then your fluid backs up, and it can become congestive heart failure. So yeah, it's a problem. And then the other thing, just real quick to add, is if you're drinking heavily or taking medication, or someone adds a sleeping pill or something to that, you're already not breathing enough. And there's periods of time where you're not breathing at all if you have sleep apnea. So you add alcohol, which is a respiratory depressant. You add a sleeping pill or a Xanax or narcotics from a surgery or whatever, and your respiratory drive is less and less and less. And a lot of people die in their sleep without trying to overdose, but it can come from the medication. And eventually it'll take a toll on your body. So Yes, if you snore, get tested. If you wake up and you're choking in the middle of the night, get tested. It's absolutely life-saving.
Dang.
There's my plug.
Yeah, there's my plug. Wow. I would not expect you to say that. And that's not how people my age use the word plug. But I guess it is if you're on a podcast show thing. But
Yeah.
Who would do that?
Yeah. Well, awesome. So I guess I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I'll probably have you on again if you don't mind, but we can talk about that outside. Maybe
Yeah.
not next week or anything, just like far in advance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I could pick your brain about other diseases and stuff. So
Yeah. I would like that.
I didn't know your
enjoyed
body can give you diabetes just by like being
Not sleeping.
scared. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of.
You can also get psychosis from not treating thyroid.
Oh.
If you are, if you're hyperthyroid and you came into the ER, if you were out of your mind, like psychotic, and came into ER, the first test we're doing.
Oh, no.
And then now the host, or it says to upgrade to the actual better Zoom. I knew that was gonna happen.
You know, I think I'd rather die of sleep apnea than get paranoid from my thyroid.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know if she wants to. I know she's probably in chat. So we'll just see if she wants to come back in and finish off, or if she's good with that since she technically already finished off. But Alexa said TVA got her. That's funny. That was really funny. I was wearing my TVA shirt earlier. So yeah, you can't see us because I need to put my webcam back up. So just bear with us, chat. I can press Control Z this
I think we
time.
should just leave it like this, and then we just have to.
Wait, you can press control?
Yeah, I had to press Control instead of Command. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is that why the commands weren't working last time?
Yeah.
Because we were pressing command.
Yes. All right. Cutting off the rows just a little bit.
That's okay.
So yeah, now that we're back, maybe my mom texted me. Yeah, I think we'll just continue on. Sorry, Mom. She's probably good. She got her plug in, so.
Yeah.
Sorry you got bumped.
Yeah, wasn't me. But yeah, anyways, that was cool to have my mom on, and I'll probably have her on again because she's cool and really easy, free guest, and she has a lot of knowledge about a lot of medical stuff. So, yeah. I think Asher, you might be up next.
No, I don't think I'm next.
Oh yeah, thanks, Mom.
Wait, am I next? Uh-oh.
Yes. Yeah, I think I put Asher in first this time because change it up a little bit.
All right, so I kind of hinted about this the last time I was here when you were talking about beer and carbonation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm going to talk about some superheated water. First though, okay, so superheating water is when it happens a lot in the microwave where you can sneak a glass of water past its boiling point without it starting to bubble. So the water will get 213 degrees Fahrenheit, 214, 215, and then you disturb it a little bit and it instantly boils. So you can do this in the microwave with super smooth glass containers where you pull it out and it's not boiling, but then maybe you add salt to it. I have a video at the end of this happening, and it just instantly boils. And in its worst case, it can instantly all vaporize, which expands the volume a lot, and you can have it literally explode in your face.
Oh.
That's terrible.
So there are some ways to compensate for it, so we'll talk about it. So you can go to the next one. There's boiling water. So you see that? You see all those bubbles? Okay, you can go to the next one.
Is that your picture?
Nope, this is just off Google.
Oh, okay.
Although I think I have that. These are my beautiful visuals. I made these pictures.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Nice.
so-
don't have to put any like sources in there.
Mhm. So what you're looking at right now is it's called homogeneous nucleation, and it essentially occurs when you have like pure water on a perfectly flat surface, and the bubble will form, but the pressure that is bearing down on it from all the other water is so much that it can force the bubble to stop forming. Like it can just push the bubble back down. However, as the bubble starts to get bigger, the more energy you add to it, the outward pressure from the vapor can overcome the rest of the water, pushing it back, and that's when you get a bubble that detaches and flows up to the top. Homogeneous nucleation is really difficult to get started. You almost, even in studies, they almost never see it because what they see is, well, you can go to the next one. The next one is just another one of my beautiful drawings. This one in a different program. As you know, the air expands, there's more vapor pressure, and it pushes against, and the water pushes less because there's less of it to push against it. So you almost never see this. What you usually see is, you can go to the next slide again. This one's fast. You see what's called cavitation. It's called heterogeneous nucleation. Essentially, there's a little cavity in there where the bubble can stay protected for longer because it doesn't have the pressure from the outsides anymore. It just has really the stuff on the top. And so you see a lot more bubbles in boiling form from this bubble cavitation, or this cavitation nucleation, whatever it is. And this is generally what bubbles do. And actually, how water boils is still a very open question in physics. Like, we are not particularly sure how water, like, each phase of it goes.
Really?
Yeah, like the anything when you're dealing with fluids is a nightmare because the equation that governs it is not a linear equation. It changes weirdly. You know how you said you were taking differential equations, right?
Uh-huh.
You know how we almost immediately confined ourselves to linear differential equations because it's almost unsolvable if it's not.
Yeah.
So actually,
Yeah.
there's the Millennium Prize, which is if anybody can find a solution to the Navier-Stokes equation, which is the set of equations that like governs fluids for like the not super special cases where everything's nice, you get $1 million.
Huh. Only $1 million?
Yeah, it was set like 40 years ago.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty good. Should account for inflation.
Okay, you can go to the next slide. So, no, there it is. This is an example of that happening. So this has been taken out of the model.
Here's something you don't
Is
see
he
too
expecting
often.
this to happen? Is this about
Yeah, he did this intentionally. So you can kind of tell from that lazy bubbling, and this isn't the worst example of this I've ever seen, but you add this salt, these foreign mixtures, and it will immedially start violently boiling. Now imagine if the entire thing vaporized in that moment.
Yeah.
So you can have
Oh my
like
God.
cups explode in your face because they are superheated.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All this makes me think about was when I was a kid, I used to do like random science experiments, like anything I can get my hands on. And then when it hit the point of like I can't just mix this together and make it look all mushy anymore, I would put it in the microwave. And like all it would have taken is just for me to just like find the right kind of glass.
Well, yeah.
And just do something smart but stupid
Yeah.
because I didn't know what I was doing, right? And I could have gotten.
Well, and so if you notice the glass that he's using in that video is it's glass. You see this with ceramic as well sometimes. Most other kinds of cups don't actually they're not smooth enough for this to happen very easily.
Yeah.
One of the ways it can happen is by like if you forget that there's a cup in the microwave and you just like let it boil. You forget about it, you microwave it again, you let it leave it,
Okay,
you
so
microwave it
here's
again.
something you don't see too often.
You don't see this too often.
I tried playing it again while you're talking.
You're stuck.
Easily.
Where was I?
My bad. That one's on me, guys.
You take it out.
You see it a lot more like that. But if you're worried about this, what you can do is you just put like a wooden toothpick in there, and you have almost no concerns about superheating the water.
Why?
You need, once the bubbles start moving a lot, those are the nucleation points. Like, you no longer need them to spontaneously form. So once it starts bubbling, you're fine. So the wood has enough cavities in there to seed all of the boils. And yeah,
Wood.
so yeah. If you're worried that your cup is gonna explode in your face, just put it in.
It's gonna become my new
And just
fear.
like, just like slowly inch it out and throw it. It's kind of funny.
But yeah, bubble formation is. I went down a weirdly long rabbit hole researching for this topic.
Bubbles. Wow.
There's like degrees of how the water contacts the solid, and you don't see this every day.
Okay, so here's something
I
you
don't
don't see
even
too
think I can
often.
skip over this.
I
was
just
watching.
Michael.
Nope, I did. I skipped over it. Oh, awesome. Bubbles.
Gotta love them. Gotta love bubbles.
I'm going to read chat for a second just to make sure we're all...
What category do people who study bubbles fall under?
Physics.
Yeah.
It's like, is it?
Rose, I thought I'd let you know that a lot of people said hi in the beginning, but I didn't want to interrupt or waste time to ask my mom things. But Gas and Burn is back.
Oh, yay!
Long time Science HD listener and watcher.
Huh?
Huh?
I didn't know that I was a mod.
Yeah. Yeah, I made you both moderators.
Okay.
So you guys can, like, do whatever. Anyways, so Gas and Burn, yes, welcome back. We have been expecting you on this new channel rather than the old one we used to stream on. And, yeah, hope you're enjoying everything so far and hope all is well over there in Australia.
Should have been the last one we talked about camels.
Yeah, we talked about Australia and how many damn camels are over there. So, yeah, that was fun. But don't worry, we're going to be talking about other Australian things later today. So now it's my turn. We're flip-flopping.
Oh my goodness. Did you write a dissertation on this?
No, I just have like things I'm not going to be able to... I like to think about it in advance and then just say it.
You make an outline.
Yeah, make an outline. Well, that was kind of just almost a script. So I call this one Journey to the Center of Earth because that's a movie that's pretty classic. I've seen it one time, so I don't remember anything that happens. And I saw that like years and years and years ago. So if you really like this movie, I'm pretty sure it has Nicolas Cage in it. Yeah.
Gas and Burn, the answer for you is you could get it to superheat farther, yes. Like, you could get it further past its boiling point.
I'll pin that just in case everyone wants to know the question that's being referenced. But yeah, if you have any bubble questions, Asher's your guy.
No, I am not.
He's a bubbleologist. Anyways, Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Is Nicolas Cage in that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was, I'm not gonna say his name right. Brendan,
The guy that did the whale.
yeah. Am I right? Is that
I get those two confused, so maybe.
You get Brendan Fraser and Nicolas Cage confused?
Yes. I can't be the only one.
That seems like a strange group to get confused.
It is. It is Brendan Fraser.
Okay. I was gonna
They
say.
look similar.
And Josh Hutcherson, don't you worry.
Oh, yes.
I watched that movie with like the 3D glasses when those were like the thing, when you rent your movies with the 3D glasses.
I went to one theater with the 3D glasses, and I was a kid, and it was a dinosaur movie, and me and my mom had to leave because I got scared.
That's what that one has, the dinosaur in it.
Dude,
yeah,
that
same
actually-
outcome.
I've done that once, but not to a movie. It was to, we were at this fair in Battle Creek, and they do it every year for just like jets that come to town, and the Blue Angels fly over, and it's pretty big. But they had this barn or trailer thing of an advertisement for Red Baron Pizza, which is still around today making frozen pizzas. And
Shout out Red Baron.
yeah, shout out Red Baron. Hit me up for the subscription, or not subscription, but sponsorship. But anyways, yeah, Red Baron Pizzas had a trailer, and they were like they're called Red Baron because the guy that's their logo is like some pilot that's from like the old 19 whatever.
World War One.
Yeah, it has like a red scarf.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Yeah, I know about the Red Baron.
Yeah, you know Red Baron?
I know him.
But anyways, they did like a little video of him like flying around in 3D, but he's coming around to you. So it looks like he's like flying around you almost. At the time it was revolutionary because I was like 8 or something.
Did you also have to leave the movie?
I had to leave the trailer, dude. I'm pretty sure I had to leave the trailer. I was crying because it was scary to me. I don't know why. Something reaching that what feels like the third dimension, dude.
Nah, yeah, that was the same way.
When you're a child, that's like, this is too advanced for me. Woo. But yeah. So Journey to the Center Earth. I wanted to talk about this because I saw it on Instagram, and I feel like Instagram can't be super credible. So I looked further into it, down to a like like a research paper. That's what it's called. And so we all know the Earth, right?
I'm familiar.
Yeah. Well, in case you weren't familiar with middle school geography or forgot about it, we have many layers to the Earth, as we all know. We're all on top of the crust, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then below we have upper mantle and lower mantle, right?
I was called outer and inner.
Convection
Outer
currents.
mantle, inner mantle.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
It probably varies on the diagram.
And then is it inner core, outer core, inner core? Or is
Yeah,
there a better
outer
name for that?
liquid core, but inner solid core. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. I feel
Do I look like
you
a geologist?
I feel like you know a lot about this.
I actually do have a fact about the mantle.
What is it?
But continue.
What is it?
When you hear the convection currents about the mantle, like it's generally implied that the mantle is a liquid.
Yeah.
It's really not.
Oh, really?
It's like it's because the pressure is too high for it to actually like fully become a liquid. And so what's actually happening is this really slow process of like one atom in this solid lattice jumps across, and you slowly get the convection currents that way. They like jump to spaces.
Oh, so it's like a solid convection current?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is cool. The more you know.
So it's more like a molecular level then.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not-
like
Yeah.
it's literally
You wouldn't be able to see that,
no.
right?
Well, it's probably really misleading because like a lot of people like with I think it's volcanoes and lava. Like it'd be like, oh, you see lava, and it's like, oh, it's the mantle.
Yeah.
It's not, but
But that's what it looks like once it gets like higher up to the crust. Like once it manages to
pressure's
burrow its
not
way
as high.
out. Yeah. Because it's way above the melting point of rock. It just happens to be at a high enough pressure to stay mostly solid.
Oh,
what's the
man.
boiling pressure of a rock?
Boiling point.
You know?
Also, this
Boiling
is a
pressure.
picture of a globe. Didn't I instate that you are a flat earther
Yeah,
2 episodes ago?
yeah, I wanted to throw a picture of the globe that is from NASA themselves because I'm a flat earther.
Okay.
But I bring this up because I was on Instagram and I was scrolling through, and this thing that is like kind of like they claim they're like a news page, but they're not. But they actually just like I think they used to post like funny videos. But anyways, regardless, they said 2 Australian seismologists discovered there's a new layer to the Earth, and I thought that was pretty good, right?
Brings me back to the streets of London.
Yeah. Streets of Brisbane, London. But anyways, I thought we already knew that, because they were like, it has a metal core of iron and nickel that is 400 miles or kilometers. I think it was kilometers wide. And I was like, wait, I thought we already knew this stuff. Like, this isn't news. Are they just trying to make news out of extremely old news and there's so many people that are just uneducated on Instagram that they're like, oh, this is news. You go to the comments, everyone's like, wait, I thought I already knew this from middle school. Oh, I thought this was like a thing. And then, so I looked into it because I was confused on that post. They didn't word it good, of course. And I was just like, this doesn't feel like news to me. So I'm going to look up the latest Earth core news. I knew the year when I was looking into this, but I don't remember the year. But basically, I think it was either last year or a few months ago, there are 2 Australian seismologists that used earthquakes, and analyzing earthquakes using some seismology technology that I did not look deep into that part of, because I mainly just wanted to fact check this. But they used earthquakes and the waves sent from one part of the Earth to another to analyze the Earth's core on some level. And they actually discovered a new Earth's core, like the thing said, but it's a innermost core is what it's labeled as in the paper, and instead of just inner core. And now there's an innermost core, which just sounds like I'm saying core on repeat.
So wait, are you saying like a core inside the core that we all knew about?
Yes. So there's all the core, or there's all the layers that we knew about before. The diagram that you see in middle school up on the screen. That white dot in the center is not the innermost core. That's the inner core. And now the poorly named innermost core is something that is newly discovered. I think inner core is like 2,500 kilometers, and this is going to be 400 kilometers, so it's going to be smaller on the inside of that, and it's still made of iron and nickel. So then now you're like, okay, what's the difference between inner core and innermost core? This is still just a basic diagram, but in more depth. Well, apparently the only big difference is there's like some crystallization between the alloys of iron and nickel, and so they're just formed differently throughout this entire core that's newly discovered. How they do that, how they figure that out, I have no idea. But yeah,
it does make sense that would be one of the last things that they could discover, because the only way we actually know anything about the inside of the Earth is through earthquakes. You just look at how they flow through the Earth.
Right.
And like if you're on the opposite side of the planet from the earthquake, you don't see anything because there's iron blocking it.
Yeah. It's like sonar.
Yeah.
It probably works exactly like sonar. But yeah, so I took a quote from whatever I read it from, which I originally looked at Washington Post, but then I was like, I don't feel like I want to trust Washington Post. And then I looked at the sources they were citing, and then I found the research paper that way. But they said if you travel from the mantle to the outer core, you would go from a mostly solid to liquid and experience different chemical compositions. That's something that's already known. But if you traveled from the inner core to the newly discovered innermost core, you would see the same iron-nickel alloy, just different crystal structure. So it's kind of like discovering like dirt and then just like more dirt that looks different.
Well, there's a whole bunch. There's like ice has a whole bunch of those. Like there's like 8 different crystalline forms of ice.
Mm-hmm.
Like
ice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, like in glaciers and stuff.
Yeah, just like the way it can form. I don't know if they all exist in nature, but.
Well, I remember Bill Nye talking on a video that I saw where he was like talking about glaciers and how they can actually say a lot of things. Like you can age glaciers based off of like the compactness, I'm pretty sure.
Is it?
What?
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was wondering. I was thinking in my head. I was like, how? I can't remember how. But
Neither do
how
I.
do they?
There's some chemical
determine the
or
age
something.
Of like different pieces of like a giant glacier.
Some way that the ice packs down over time, and
be crystal structure.
I have no idea. Something along those
or
lines.
is it like if you melt it and you find something in it?
This is an old video I watched years ago that I'm just remembering. There's some way that you can analyze a glacier, but yeah, I'll have to look more into that. Glacier talk would be kind of fun.
I bet it would.
You gave me a new topic as well.
All right, well, keep it up there.
I'm going. It's a struggle to come up with them.
Yeah. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting news that I saw. So I thought I'd share it with everyone that there's new Earth core just dropped. So
That's the wrong title. I was gonna do something called pseudo-quantum telepathy. I guess I didn't edit the title when I decided to not do that.
Oh, so it's not anything to do with telepathy.
No, not at all. Honestly, can you go to the next one? I hope not everything's broken. No, we're chilling.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Back to this diagram.
So I was actually remarking to Nolan that I think every time I've been on this podcast, I have at some point brought this diagram up. Today, the particle we're looking closer at is the one in the green column in the middle, the muon.
Ooh.
So there is some, the topic name should be G2, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it has the fancy name of the anomalous magnetic moment of the muon. So, a little background here. Every particle that has some sort of magnetic charge will process in a magnetic field. So, if you align, I'm going to do it over here. You do a diagram, and this is like the direction of where that's like rotating around.
Uh-huh.
You'll see it kind of do this one in a magnetic field. That's called Larmor precession, and it's the way you calculate it is each particle has this thing called the gyromagnetic ratio, and you just multiply that times however strong the magnetic field is. You can actually go to the next slide. I think I have it written down.
Oh, wait. Let me turn off the pen. Sorry, I was highlighting it for everyone.
Yeah, so you'll see the particle precess, like the axis it's spinning around starts to move around.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
With the muon, we have, in quantum mechanics, we have calculated what the gyromagnetic ratio, or the G factor sometimes, should be, and it should be 2. It should be exactly 2. Now, when we measure it, it doesn't come out to 2. You can go to the next slide. It actually comes out like, I think, 0.1% above 2, which isn't a lot, but the standard model is the best predictive, like it's the most successful scientific theory that's ever been created. So we should be seeing it to be 2. We know why it's not 2, and the reason is virtual particles. So essentially, while it's processing, these particles kind of dip in and out of reality. So your crash course in quantum field theory, I didn't have enough slides for this because it's just here's a grid, here's another grid. It basically says that all of reality is like a layer of fields. There's like 7 different fields, and they all vibrate, right? And if you get a really confined vibration, you get a particle. So, like, for example, the what would it be? The photon, for example, is a concentrated vibration in the electromagnetic field. So when you get this stable oscillation, you get a particle. It's weird. You do away with any thought that these things were real. But those, like, if you think about like a trampoline, there's noise there, or like water. If you look at the surface of water, there's ripples, there's waves, but there's also these like little ripples that do whatever they want. That's kind of like the background noise of the field, and sometimes those little ripples are strong enough to create a particle, but only for like the tiniest moment. It creates out of nothing. There is no energy that contributes to this. It just goes. It just clicks in and out.
How do we know that then?
Because we can study their effects. There's actually this cool thing called the Casimir effect, where if you put these two, there's a couple different competing explanations for it, but one of the virtual particle reasons is you put these two metal plates like real close together, and from the pressure that is created from those virtual particles, you can measure a force. So they don't exist for a long enough period of time to violate energy conservation. Is one of the things, but they create these particle-antiparticle pairs, and then they can do things for like absolutely no amount of time, but then they go back to nothing.
So if I existed for like a small enough amount of time,
Yes, you'd be virtual.
Oh.
Like the order of time that virtual particles exist for is lower than the Planck time. So it's like literally smaller than the smallest unit of time we can measure. That can like fundamentally exist.
That's wild.
But they do happen, and we do see the effects of them. So what happens is essentially all this background noise kind of nudges the muon to process just like a little bit faster. So like the contribution from the noise in the strong field, the electro weak field, all these fields.
Yeah.
You see it like speed the rotation up a little bit. And that's why we get, G factor of 2.0001.
Because of virtual particles.
Yep. These are all very well tested. Like we know we've calculated how much it should be sped up. And that's why we call this the G-2 experiment. Because we only care about the amount that isn't 2. Right?
Right.
Like we already know it should be 2.
How
So everything
much
that isn't -2, you subtract off 2 from your number, you get the anomalous G2. And you can go to the next slide. Because, you know how I just said we know all these things? We don't. So, all of the predictions that we have give us a certain like error that we should find in the G factor. And our best experimental results do not agree at all. If you look at the error bars on the right side there, those are actual experiments where they subject a muon to a magnetic field and just essentially measure the precession, which is interesting physics that I am currently involved in research in that I'm afraid of having to explain here. But I'm running out of ideas, and sooner or later, you are all going to hear about muon spin resonance. But you can measure, you can figure out how fast the muon was processing, and Fermilab is the one that is kind of leading the charge on this. This is an old slide. I wanted to show the standard model prediction. They've actually released another set of results where they can find the error bar a little bit more. It moved a little bit to the right from their last result, still within their old error bar and still within the Brookhaven result. But we're slowly narrowing in, getting better and better and better at calculating this. Mm-hmm. And it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So this is really exciting for a couple reasons. Mostly, whenever we're wrong, that's a great sign. Because we know the standard model can't be everything. Mm-hmm. But it refuses to tell us, it refuses to give us something that we can really go after. Mm-hmm. After the Higgs boson was confirmed by CERN, that was the last result that fully could not be a fluke. So we have this threshold in physics of how far away, how many standard deviations away from your result, how many error bars away are you before you it's a 1 in a billion chance you're a fluke, and it's 5 sigma. That's the rule, is if you get a result, that's a 5 sigma result, so you'd have to go 5 error bars from where you found to get your other result. You can't say it wasn't a fluke if you're not 5 sigma. This is not 5 sigma, but it is 4.2, which is pretty darn good. Yeah. Which is, so it's kind of exciting that we're finding that, hey, this might just be wrong. And if we find out that it's wrong, we know that there might be, if anybody has ever heard of string theory before, you might find that there's supersymmetric particles that are interfering with it, or even better, really, really, really heavy particles that we cannot make in our particle colliders. And because there is no energy limit, you don't have to put energy in to make those heavy particles and virtual particles, they just kind of go blink in and out. If you can see their effect, you can confirm that they might exist. Mm-hmm. Because right now we have no evidence of any of that. Dark matter's another one.
Yeah.
If you've heard of WIMP model, the weakly interacting massive particle.
I'm not.
So they go through each other really easily, but they're really heavy still. That might be that's our what do you call it? Our best idea for what dark matter might be is something that's really heavy, passes right through each other, doesn't really like to interact with itself or with anything else. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's what it is. Right. There's also a couple other ones. I looked into them. They're way beyond the scope of what I could do in one day to talk about today. There's cold dark matter, there's warm dark matter, and then there's fuzzy dark matter, which is kind of cool.
Fuzzy dark matter.
Yeah.
I love the names.
Yeah. Supersymmetric something theory has the name sussy. So you can go Sort of. Looking at Gassenburn's question about reality is like a badly optimized video game where objects phase in and out of existence. Sort of, yes. Where, like... But it's just from, like, the noise, right? You know how if you, say you turn on your radio and you just put it to some random station that isn't tuned to anything,
Yeah.
and you'll hear that static. It's like that noise. It's just intrinsic to the field, and sometimes it's just strong enough to kind of... Okay, and you can go to the next slide.
There we go.
So one of the questions is, why did I stress so heavily that it was 4.2 sigma? Because there's still ways that we can... There's that annoying blue column that's called no new physics. And it's real... We want to be outside of that column. Because when we start being able to poke holes in our theory, we get to make it better. Mm-hmm. So we really want to be outside the blue one. And so there is one factor that is most likely making an error in our theoretical result. And that is, there are 4 forces, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're going to ignore gravity because I hate it.
Okay.
So there's 3 forces that we care about. Mm-hmm. There's electromagnetism, mm-hmm. there's weak interaction, and there's the strong force. Mm-hmm. Now, throwing another wrench into the plan here, there's actually 2 forces we care about because electroweak theory is a thing. So those are the same force. Strong force is its own thing, and we understand weak and electromagnetism pretty well.
Yeah.
We have models that, you know, represent them well. Mm-hmm. The strong force is annoying. It's really hard to tell what's going on inside of anything because the energy densities are so high that you get these spontaneous particles that are forming and then they're leaving, and you have there's color charge. There's a lot of things going on in the strong force that we cannot model. For example, I think in one molecule, in order to store the information contained inside of them, you need more bits than there are particles in the universe. So we have these hacks that kind of let us do something. So the R ratio is what we've been using lately, and it's a good, very low error result. So when you essentially add up all of the interferences that this muon rotating gets, you have to add in the strong force term, and the strong force term doesn't exist. You physically cannot calculate it. So what we do is we look at electron and positron annihilations and stuff like that, and you just kind of you find a value that's a good enough approximation for what that term would be, mm-hmm. and then you can kind of back calculate what the strong force term should be, mm-hmm. but there's no way to theoretically calculate it. That is good, but it's also I saw it explained as, you know, when you Google Translate something and then you type it in Google Translate back to English and you don't have the same meaning, mm-hmm. You might lose the meaning when you take experimental result, put it through the math grinder, take it and apply it to a new theoretical thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You might lose any real meaning for it. So there's another method that's kind of becoming in vogue, and that is unbelievably complicated. But it's called lattice QCD, and it allows us to model what happens inside the strong force range. Mm-hmm. You'll notice the error bars are ginormous. However, they really don't agree that much with the red result. The red, the R ratio, mm-hmm. That's what we've been using. If you look at the error bars that are kind of getting narrower at the very top there, the lattice QCD is still definitely could be in the new physics category, but it still has some allowance of being in the no new physics category. But the fact that those two measurements do not agree with each other at all is kind of a red flag. That maybe we can't be using the R ratio to do these calculations, and it's, in my opinion, the least exciting answer. Guys, there's something really new and exciting, but it doesn't mean anything. Right. But it's actually just we didn't do this correctly. Fermilab, the people that are doing the actual, if you go back a slide, they're the ones that are doing the most accurate calculation of the G factor, the G minus 2. If you look at they published another result after this, actually last year, with the error bar getting confined. It stayed within that purple. It just gets narrower, 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 and they're actually going to release 6 years worth of runs supposedly in 2025.
Oh wow!
So that's something to be excited about. Maybe string theory is right. Maybe quantum loop gravity is right.
Where are they based out of?
Fermilab?
Yeah.
US. I think they're in like Indiana or something.
Oh.
They just have like a particle collider in Indiana.
Do they do internships?
Probably. I don't think I'm competitive enough to be in the Fermilab. Yeah, I think that's the end. Is there something else there? Nope.
Nope, just dogs.
Which, by the way, when you shared the slideshow with me, you also just sent me 3 videos of dogs. I was really confused.
Were they pugs?
Yep.
So anyways, next segment is dogs being dogs. I'll tell you how I thought of this. I thought of this by just once again scrolling on social media and seeing this post that was actually like really kind of cringy and sappy, but also made me start thinking like evolution wise about dogs. It was actually a really funny thing was it was on a David Attenborough fan page.
A fan page?
Yeah. It was on like a Facebook fan page for David Attenborough. And it was like saying it was the overall message was supposed to be like, think about dogs and what they're supposed to be doing initially and why they were bred for what they are before you adopt a dog before you adopt a dog in your home and scold it for just doing what it's meant to be doing. Yeah. If that makes sense. Yeah. And I know you probably feel passionate about that one, Rose, about adopting a dog and not getting rid of it. I mean, everyone probably does. Not saying you don't, Asher.
Yeah, throw me on.
Yeah. But anyways, so that's always what everyone hears, but I wanted to like look just a little bit further into it. Let me see where I was going with this. Oh yeah, dogs are just interesting to me because they're animals, and I like animals obviously, but I don't ever think of them as like animals in a way, or I guess wild animals because they're not
domesticated.
They're domesticated, so I don't ever have to worry about them. You don't ever have to like study them in my areas. But then I'm like, wait, some people do study them. They usually become veterinarians, but some people might study them that aren't like maybe they're not veterinarians, but they just research dogs because they're animals too, and they're actually changing all the time because these dang humans. I'm gonna flip to this because I'm about to go through some slides that I don't remember the order of. But I did want to, before I go into this, before I start making her homesick, I did want to start off by saying that we started messing with dogs evolution like kind of a long time ago, like 30,000 years ago, and sometimes I get in this like rabbit hole in my head of thinking of how many breeds of dogs there are in this world, thinking of things like poodles to Captain, our dog, to the Australian cattle dog, shout out Australia, and to pugs. Like, how are those all from a common ancestor? And we just were like, you know what? I want this one to do this thing. And now it shapes into this whole other canine that looks completely unrelated to this other canine, but they're able to still reproduce and make babies together. So that just blows my mind when I think about it too much, because it'd almost be like, I don't know. I'm just going to run away from an analogy here. I was going to do like a race thing, but I'm not going to get there.
Seems like a delicate...
Yeah, I was going towards that door, and then I was like, nah, you know what? I'll take the elevator or something.
Evolution and race should probably stay in separate categories.
I'm not. I'm gonna stay over here in dog world. So, anyways, dogs.
Being dogs.
Yeah. But we didn't truly see dog breeds documented until 2100 BC, supposedly. So this made me curious in how, like, initially, how old, like, pugs were. This is, like, a random thought. Like, I wanted to know what's up with pugs because they're, like, bred to die, it looks like.
Just they are.
by the way their skull is shaped,
It's so
by the way
sad.
they breathe. And so,
They're kinda
with
cute.
audio, I do want to include some videos of our pug that is a friend of ours named Pickles. This is our friend Lauren's pug named Pickles. And yes, that was Pickles that I sent you. I've never met Pickles in real life, but I think I would love to. And it'd be dope if Pickles made a trip up here. I would immediately shoot an episode of Science HD and then just hold Pickles the entire time, right up next to the microphone. Like, that'd be hilarious. But yeah, Pickles is not Pickles in particular, but Pickles breed pugs are just like not bred for success in the respiratory system because of that scrunched up face. I mean, I don't even feel like I have to say much about pugs for everyone to just be like, yeah, they're kind of doomed.
The EU kind of banned them.
Yeah. They did, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's good reason because I feel like it's not ethical.
Yeah.
But
even Lauren's like, yeah, we should probably not have.
yeah. Oh, but look at this. You can't get this with any other breed. It's just him standing there licking his face. And I thought that was hilarious earlier, so I decided to share it. And here's another one. There's no good way to skip. That is Pickles existing on this planet, just staring at you. I'm playing it again. Nothing is going on inside. No offense to Pickles. No offense to Pickles or Lauren.
Pickles.
I love Pickles. No offense to Pickles or Lauren or Lauren's family, but
What's up with his
the
eyes?
lights are on and no one's home in this video. Is what it seems to be. But it's so funny and adorable because Pickles is just existing in his face and you're laughing at him. But anyways, enough with the pickle slander. I'm sorry, I didn't want any pickle slander. I don't even think I gave pickle slander. I'm just laughing at Pickles on a podcast. But yeah, so that I asked Lauren to send me pickle pictures and videos today because I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot I know a pug, and he's hilarious, and that's why. But yeah, so Pickles were actually they first were bred in China, which also made me think of a fun game where next time I might make a game where I pick a dog breed and you have to guess where it originated in which country. Because I would have never guessed China. I don't know why, but I think that would be kind of fun.
Gonna be studying where dog breeds originated from harder than
Well, I
will
hope
be
you
for
forget.
my finals.
Well, I'll think of like really tough ones too.
Like, where's the German Shepherd from?
Talking with that curveball.
But yeah, so I thought it was interesting. And I also looked up a picture. I forgot to put it in, or I just didn't put it in because I just didn't think I was gonna mention it. But the breed that the pugs evolved from, or their ancestors, are like a skinnier, more like athletic, well-built version of a pug is what a pug ancestor looks like. So it's funny that we ended up with pugs, but I also think it's because they have a history in Europe being like a royalty dog. So like royalty would have them, so maybe that's what happened. And they just got pampered so much that this is their reality. So, yeah. I thought that was funny. Regardless, that's not why I brought up dogs today. Because I saw that post that made that sappy...
Oh my god. Sad dog TikTok videos are ruining my life. I am sobbing every night. over dogs.
Well, this won't be that bad. There's no dogs dying. It's just like, come on, people.
Yeah.
Let's be understandable to dogs. But pethelpful.com brings up great points for generalizing why most dogs have similar behaviors, and we all know the answer. They just have basic instincts, but everyone just usually takes that and just is like, all right, so basic instincts, cool. But we all know basic instincts like chewing, but they chew so much because their instincts want to rip apart flesh of their kill that they just got with the pack and eat it, and so they've had this instinct to just chew and tear and gnaw at bones of their kill, like their ancestors would do. And then not a lot of people think, like, why does my dog always chew on something? That's why. Marking their territory is basic instincts because they travel with the pack and they're letting other canines know what's up. They do that today. They did that with their ancestors. Things don't change in that regard, but other than probably how often they do it and where they do it, like inside of a house or outside in the forest. So even just marking, like scratching, it's another thing. So chasing, because they have naturally high prey drives. They always want to chase things. Like all these things have like answers to them. But another one that was interesting was anxiety. Dogs have really bad anxiety, like separation anxiety, especially the more pack-driven ones. I guess Captain has pretty bad separation anxiety, and he probably has pack instincts. But the reason why they have such bad anxiety from pack instincts is because when you get left by your pack, it's because you're injured or you're sick. Same goes for like wolves, because those are the closest ancestors, which, by the way, I want to throw out there. Dogs did not evolve from wolves. They are both, at the end of the race, derived from the same thing. But they did not evolve, like dogs did not evolve from wolves, just because wolves are still wild and dogs are domesticated. I want to throw that out there because that blue company that makes dog food kind of makes it look like they evolved from wolves.
Blue buffalo? Is that it? What is it?
Or I think
it was just blue.
Oh, is it just
Yeah,
blue?
I think it's blue.
Blue wilderness. That's what it is.
Yeah. They make it look like they evolved from wolves, but I want to throw out that they're not. I like how Captain entered the room once I started the segment. It's kind of fun. But anyways, those are all those like things that all dogs won't share. But then this post had a list of like all these things that each breed might be scolded for, or might be like yelled at for, or shamed for having, but they literally cannot help it. And I feel like this would be something that would make you cry if you read it. I'm actually gonna have my phone so you don't sneak a peek. So, I took a screenshot so I can like read off the post. Sorry, this is just a ramble sesh. So, for example, the post said, "I am a beagle. When I chase prey, I raise my voice so the hunters could follow. Today..."
Just thinking of Molly.
Today, they put an electric collar on me to shut up, and you make me come back to you, no running, with the snap of your fingers. Or, "I'm a Labrador Retriever. My vision of happiness is a dive into the pond to bring back the duck he shot to my master. Today, you forget I'm walking, running, swimming dog. As a result, I'm fat, made to stay indoors, and to babysit." And then it went down with a bunch of different dogs, where it's like, I was bred for this, but now I'm just like a couch potato, and you yell at me for not wanting to be on, basically. And so I was like, damn, that's kind of deep. And I was also like, I'm kind of curious what my dog was doing. So I actually made my own sappy Facebook post for Science HD. Are you ready? I made it for a lot of dogs. So first up, oh wait.
I'm dead.
I should have warned people. I forgot this was on here. I should have warned people. This is what pugs are working with, by the way. This is what every pug skull looks like. I'm so sorry if you.
What is the Facebook post?
That is a jump scare. This is the Facebook post. No, but this is a pug skull. I forgot to put that in there. This is what Pickles is working with. This is his skull, dude. It's almost as disturbing as like a human baby skull, which don't look that up. It's disturbing. But that is, yeah, look at the teeth. I mean, it's just bad.
That definitely wouldn't have come up when searching for dog skulls, a human baby skull.
Oh, no.
Why do you know not to look that up?
Oh, because I've been to that museum that does the baby displays. I'm pretty sure there's a skull in there.
Like the human body display.
Yeah, and I probably looked it up. Yeah.
So,
I'm not ashamed. Yeah.
baby skull.
But anyways, here's my sappy Facebook dog post. Here's the first one. I know, here's the first one. I am Captain, an Australian cattle dog. I herd cattle all day with the guidance of my owner who tells me where to go. I need work to feel satisfied. Today, my breed gets scolded for always needing to move and play. It's true, right?
Yeah, I think that's why he was returned to the shelter 2 times. Was because he's too energetic.
Yeah, we rescued Captain, by the way. I forgot to say that for episode 1. We rescued him. He's 9 years old. Probably said his age, but...
old man.
He's an old man, and he got returned to the shelter multiple times because of his high energy is probably what it is alone, but he has quirks, but I feel like he's gotten better since we've had him, so... but yeah, he's interesting. And those are...
half my face is in the middle photo. I just realized that.
Yeah.
I was looking at my Einstein picture, and then I was like, oh wait, that's me.
Yeah. Rose is making an appearance. If you could find her, I'll give you $1 million. Not actually.
I'm glad you did add that.
Not actually.
Things said on Twitch are contractually binding unless you add nothing.
Next one is...
Oh.
So this is my childhood dog. I wish my mom was still in chat. I thought she would be, but maybe Madison is. If not, hello everyone. This is my childhood dog. She died like 6 or 8 years ago. Something like that. But her name is Bessie. So my name is Bessie. I'm a Jack Russell Terrier. I can take on a fox, a mean badger, and a big rat in their own den. Today, my breed gets scolded for high energy and character. I actually didn't make that. The original post had a Jack Russell Terrier on it, so I just stole that. So, plagiarism. Yeah, next one. Oh, by the way, that's also a picture of me as an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old, 7-year-old, one of those.
Doxing yourself as an 8-year-old.
And I have a Nintendo DS. Shouts out.
Hit them up for sponsorships.
So this next dog is Rose's dog, but I'm in there because I didn't know if Rose wanted me to put a picture of her in there. So that's why I cut her off on the other one and put myself on this one. But my name is Molly. I'm a basset hound. I can smell tasty things from really far away. And my voice is loud, so I can alert my owner when I found something far away for them. Today, my breed gets scolded for being too loud and talkative. But Molly also has a white tip on her tail, so hunters can see her in the high brush, which is cool.
That does help us see her. I just put a cowbell on her collar, and now, so it used to be if you could like hear the cowbell, it'd be like, oh, she's across the street.
But
she is quite loud.
It's like all these dogs could reproduce and make babies with each other. So they're all one species, which is just, it blows my mind to think about. But, and it blows my mind to think that humans have just bred them for these specific things. But anyways, last one.
Frankie!
My name is Frank the Tank. I am an American bulldog. I can do many things that take athleticism, like catch hogs and cattle. Today, my breed gets scolded for being aggressive towards other animals.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Frankie is like 135 pounds minimum. She might be heavier than that now.
Yeah, the pictures don't do her justice because she barely fits on camera as is. But I just put some funny ones on there. And I also don't have a lot of pictures of Frankie because I don't cuddle with her because she scares me. So
that's real. I would be scared too.
Dude, that dog almost ate Captain as a snack one time Because Captain doesn't do good around dogs. Frankie doesn't do great around dogs.
Frankie's fine until you nip at her. Captain nipped at Frankie. Frankie nipped back. Frankie is 3 times the size of Captain. So.
Captain had a little bite mark for a little bit, but.
Yeah, it's all handled.
It's all healed. And, yeah, everything's good. I don't know if you want me to say that or not, but sorry.
Awkward.
Also, funny, weird thing was I saw a website that said American Bulldogs might be too much dog for the average household, which I could see because everything Frankie does is just like stronger, you know, like she's just huge.
She did. One time we went on a walk. So Frankie's also a COVID dog. I don't know if everyone remembers the effect that COVID had on dogs, but you know, we're always home with the dog, and then we couldn't go out and socialize the dogs. And so Frankie's not very well socialized. We also live in the country, right? We're not seeing people. So we took her on a walk to some waterfalls, and I can't remember if there was another dog or what happened, but Frankie took off running. My mom was holding the leash around like her wrist. She dragged my mom down the trail. I have it's on my on the GoPro up there. I have a video of my mom being dragged by this 135-pound dog down. It was snowy. It was almost like a nice little ride, but you know, it was. Yeah, she's
I'm anxious around Captain.
Yeah.
Frankie just wants to cuddle. You know, she just, you know, I just hold her, give her nice pats.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But while diving into this, I realized another thing about Captain. Sometimes when we're walking, or in a car, there's a certain frequency truck, usually a truck, or heavy duty vehicle that's bigger than a pickup truck.
UPS trucks. Oh my god, he hates UPS trucks.
Yeah, but anything that has like a deep frequency to a certain point, he wants to lunge at it and bark his head off at it. And it's weird, but then I realized, it's because it's big, like a cattle, and he wants to hurt it. So, because he's a cattle dog, so he just wants to be told what to do and do it, and he wants to nip at some big animal for some reason in his head. So, yeah. But that's all I had for this section, because those are all the dogs in my personal life.
Frankie.
But yeah, and I believe that's all for Science HD. And Rose next week or sometime wants to talk about stereograms.
Yeah. I do.
But what about stereograms do you want to say? Or
just how the hell do they work? Because so we were on TikTok the other night, and there was a stereogram, and Nolan's like, Rose, can you do these? And I was, oh my god, yes. And then sent me down this rabbit hole of doing several stereograms. Nolan couldn't do them. And so it's okay, so you just look at this really pretty pattern, and then you cross your eyes, and then you see something in the picture.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I always think it's kind of trippy, because it I don't know what's happening in your eyes / brain that's causing that to be I don't know, it looks like a 3-dimensional thing that you scoop the picture out of, you know?
Right. Well, I guess we won't find out until next week. But until then, we we begged the question.
Oh my god.
Alright guys, you ready? What's your hypothesis? And I got the music on time. Let's go. But yeah, deuces, y'all.
Science HD. Science HD. Science HD. Science HD.